A rock is leaving your hand. Right now, in this exact instant, it is moving faster than almost anything your body has ever produced. Faster than you can blink. Faster than you can think. It crosses 30 feet of open ground before the animal at the other end even hears it coming. And then it lands, and the animal drops, and you, soft, slow, nearly hairless you, have just killed something far bigger and far more powerful than yourself, without ever touching it. No other creature on this planet can do that. Not the lion. Not the wolf. Not the bear that could snap your spine like a dry branch. They all have to close the distance. They have to sink teeth and claws into living flesh and risk everything in the few seconds it takes to do it. You don't. You can reach out across empty air and end a life from a safe distance, with nothing but a stone and a shoulder. You are the only animal alive that kills by throwing. And here is the part that should stop you cold. You are still doing it, every single day. You just call it something else. I'm Og. I'm your ancestor, give or take a few thousand generations. And today I want to show you the deadliest thing you own. Not a spear, not a blade. The weapon you have carried your whole life and almost certainly never noticed. Your arm. Because the story of how that arm got the way it is the story of how we stopped being meat and started being the most dangerous thing in the valley. So let me actually show you. From the beginning, start with how it feels to be you. Honestly, a little embarrassing. When you line yourself up next to the rest of the animal kingdom, you can't bite through bone. Your nails wouldn't scratch a rabbit. You can't outrun a deer over short ground. You can't outclimb a leopard. You can't outmuscle almost anything your own size. Put you in a cage with a chimpanzee, an animal smaller than a grown man, and the chimp would take you apart. Pound for pound, a chimp is something like 1.5 times more powerful than you are. Their arms are built for hanging and tearing and crushing. By every measure that matters in a brawl, you lose. So watch what happens when you both pick up a rock. A chimp can throw. They do it when they're angry, in the wild and in the zoo, and they can fling things with real force. But a chimp's throw is clumsy, mostly underarm, wildly off target and slow. The hardest throwing chimp ever measured tops out around 20 miles an hour. Now picture a human child, not an athlete, a 12-year-old on a dusty field, the kind who gets picked near the end. That child can already throw a ball faster and far straighter than the strongest chimp that has ever lived. And a grown adult who actually trains it can put a small object through the air at over 100 miles an hour, landing it in a target the width of a hand from 60 feet away, again and again and again. Sit with how strange that is. The animal that is dramatically more powerful than you throws like a toddler. And you, the weakling, throw like a weapon. The power was never the point. Something else is going on inside your shoulder, and for 2 million years almost nobody knew what it was. Here is the question that cracks it open. If it isn't muscle, if a creature far more powerful than you can't do it, then what exactly are you doing when you throw that no other animal on Earth can copy? The answer comes from a study I want you to remember, because it is the spine of everything I'm about to tell you. In 2013, a team led by a scientist named Neil Roach, working with Daniel Lieberman at Harvard, published their findings in the journal Nature. They wired people up, filmed them throwing from every angle, and tracked exactly where the energy of the throw was coming from. And what they found is that your arm is not really an arm at the moment you throw. It is a slingshot. It is a catapult made of meat. Let me walk you through it, because once you feel it, you will never throw the same way again. Think about what your body does just before the rock flies. You don't simply swing your arm forward. First, you wind up. You turn your hips. You rotate your chest away from the target. You cock your arm back behind your head. So far back it almost feels wrong, with the elbow high and the hand dropped behind you. It feels like you're just getting ready. You're not. In that wind-up, you are loading a spring. When you cock your arm back like that, you stretch all the tendons and the ligaments that cross the front of your shoulder. Stretch them like the rubber of a slingshot pulled to its limit. And stretched tissue stores energy. It wants to snap back. So while you think you're just preparing to throw, your shoulder has quietly become a loaded weapon, holding a burst of energy that your muscles alone could never produce fast enough on their own. Then you let it go. The spring releases. The stored energy fires all at once and whips your upper arm bone around so violently that the rotation at your shoulder reaches up to 9,000 degrees per second. Stop and picture that number. 9,000 degrees per second. It is the single fastest motion the human body is capable of producing. Anywhere. Nothing else you do. No kick, no punch, no sprint. Comes close. The fastest thing your body can do, the deadliest thing your body can do, is the thing you do without even thinking when you throw a ball to a friend. And that whip, that release, is why the rock leaves your hand like it was shot. Your muscles did not throw it. Your muscles loaded the spring. The spring threw it. That is the trick no other animal has. A chimp's shoulder can't store and release energy that way, so a chimp can only throw with raw muscle, and muscle alone is far too slow. You don't beat the chimp with power. You beat it with physics. And I want to be clear about why the spring is not optional. Why you couldn't just grow a stronger muscle and skip the trick. A muscle can only contract so fast. There is a hard ceiling on how quickly muscle fibers can shorten, and it is nowhere near fast enough to whip your arm around at 9,000 degrees a second. No animal could grow a muscle that fast. The biology simply does not allow it. So the only way to move a limb that quickly is to do exactly what you do. Contract your muscles slowly, in advance, pour that slow effort into stretched living tissue, and then release it all at once, far faster than any muscle could ever fire on its own. It is the same reason a bow shoots an arrow faster than your bare hand could ever throw it. You are not the bowstring. You are the archer, slowly drawing it back. The catapult is the only way that speed is even physically possible, and your body found the answer 2 million years before anyone worked out the math. But now comes the real question. The one that turns this from a fun fact into your own story. Why can your shoulder do this when a chimp's can't? What actually changed in our bodies to turn an arm into a catapult? Because we were not always built this way. Go back far enough up the family line and our ancestors threw about as badly as a chimp does. So something happened. And Roach and his team found that it comes down to 3 quiet changes in the skeleton. 3 changes that all appear together for the first time around 2 million years ago, in an ancestor we call Homo erectus, the first of us who really looked like us from the neck down. Change 1 is your waist. Take an ape, and its chest sits almost on top of its hips. Stiff, like a barrel with arms. There's no room to twist. Now feel your own body. You have a tall, narrow, flexible waist. You can turn your chest one way while your hips face the other, wind your torso up like a spring all on its own, and let it uncoil. That waist is the first stage of the catapult. The wind-up starts down at your hips and rolls upward through a body that an ape simply cannot bend. Change 2 is the position of your shoulders. An ape's shoulders are shrugged up high, near its ears, angled to hang from branches. Yours sit lower, and they face out to the sides rather than up. That lower, sideways-facing shoulder is what lets your arm swing in the huge, free, energy-storing arc of a throw instead of a climber's reach. Drop the shoulders, open the arc, and the slingshot has somewhere to stretch. Change 3 is hidden inside the bone itself. The upper arm bone, the one between your shoulder and your elbow, is gently twisted along its length, and in us that twist is turned down compared to an ape's. That small change in how the bone is wound sets your arm at exactly the angle that lets the stretched tendons load to their maximum before the throw. A twist in a single bone, tuned over 1 million years, just to help you store a little more energy before you let it fly. 3 changes. A waist that winds, shoulders that open. A bone that's twisted just so. None of them looks like much on its own. But stack them together, and you get a body that can do something no other body on the planet can do. Take the slow, steady force of muscle, pour it into living springs, and release it as a blur. And the moment all three lined up, around 2 million years ago, everything about what it meant to be one of us changed. Because think about what you actually unlocked. Before this, an early human who wanted meat had to do what every other predator does. Get close. Wrestle a frightened, powerful animal with your bare hands and your soft body. And maybe get gored or bitten or trampled for your trouble. Hunting was a fair fight, and a fair fight against a wild animal is a fight you often lose. Now give that same human a handful of stones and a shoulder that can throw them at lethal speed. Suddenly the fight isn't fair anymore, and you are the one it isn't fair for. But in your favor, you can hurt something before it can hurt you. You can stand at a distance, out of reach of horn and tooth, and bring it down from a place of safety. You can drive a pride of lions off a fresh kill with a hail of rocks, and simply take their dinner. For the first time, a slow, weak, fangless animal became the most dangerous thing in the landscape, not by growing claws, but by learning to attack from far away. Picture it properly, because this is your real history. A band of early humans out on the open grass, a dozen of them, spreading out around a single animal far heavier and far more powerful than any one of them. Nobody rushes in, nobody wrestles. They hold their distance, and the air fills with stones, a steady, punishing rain of them, each one thrown at lethal speed by a shoulder built for exactly this. The animal can't reach them. It can't fight an enemy that hurts it from a place it cannot charge. It tires, it staggers, it goes down. And not one of those humans ever had to put their soft body within reach of hoof or horn. That is a hunt no lion can run. A lion has to grapple. A lion gets kicked and gored, and is sometimes killed by its own dinner. You invented the first kind of hunting, where the hunter stays safe. And a safe hunt is one you can run again tomorrow, and the day after, for 10,000 generations, feeding a line of descendants that ends, right now, in you. And here's why that matters for the rest of the story, the whole rest of the story. That meat, won safely and won often, is rich fuel. It is the fuel that, over hundreds of thousands of years, fed a bigger and hungrier brain, the brain you are using right now to follow what I'm saying. The scientists are careful here, and I'll be careful too. Throwing was not the single cause of all of it, but the ability to kill from a distance, safely, again and again, was one of the great openings, one of the doors that let creatures like us walk through and become creatures like you. The first weapon that ever reached across distance was not a spear, and not an arrow. It was your arm. Everything else, every bow, every sling, every thrown blade, every rifle, every rocket, is just us building longer and longer copies of the thing we first did with a rock and a shoulder. We are the species that learned to touch things we could not reach. And it was never only about speed. Power gets the rock moving, but it's useless if the rock doesn't land where you need it to. So the same body that learned to throw hard also learned to throw true. Your brain times the release of that stone down to a few thousandths of a second, because letting go a hair too early or a hair too late sends it wide. You do that math without knowing you're doing it, every time, automatically, with a piece of equipment 2 million years in the making. Speed to bring it down. Accuracy to hit it at all. Both built into the same shoulder. And the timing of it is almost absurd when you slow it down. During that whip, the rock sits in your hand for only a sliver of a second, and there is a window just a few thousandths of a second wide where letting go sends the stone straight at the target. Release a hair too early, and it sails over the animal's back. A hair too late, and it slams into the dirt at your own feet. Your brain has to time that release more precisely than almost anything else it ever does. And it learned to, because the humans whose timing was off went hungry, and the humans whose timing was true had children. You are descended from 100,000 years of the best aim in the valley. It is in you, whether you practice it or not. And here's how deep it runs. Look at the things people do for fun, everywhere on Earth, in every culture anyone has ever written down. We throw. We throw balls through hoops and over nets and at distant targets. We throw spears and discs and hammers and darts and rings. A huge share of every sport humanity has ever invented is, underneath the rules, just throwing. We took the one act that kept our ancestors alive, and we turned it into a game, into the thing we do on a warm afternoon for no reason but the pleasure of it. And we gather in the thousands to watch a single person throw an object with perfect speed and aim, and we roar when it lands true. That roar is ancient. It is the same flush of joy your ancestors felt when the stone struck home and the food was won. No other animal celebrates its own survival like that. And maybe right now you're thinking, but I'm terrible at throwing. It doesn't matter. Genuinely. Even a clumsy, out-of-practice human throw, the worst throw of your worst day, is still faster and straighter than the best throw any other animal has ever managed. The floor of your ability, the baseline you were simply born with, sits far above the ceiling of theirs. You cannot switch the machine off. It came installed. So now I want you to do something, right now, wherever you are. Find something small and soft, a balled-up sock, a crumpled piece of paper, a cushion. Pick a target across the room, a chair, a bin, an open doorway. And before you throw, go slow and feel it. Feel your chest turn away. Feel your hand drop back behind your head. Feel that strange little stretch across the front of your shoulder, the spring loading. Then let it fly and watch where it lands. Did you feel the wind-up? That tiny coil before the release? That is 2 million years old. That is the exact motion an ancestor of yours made on an open plain, lining up a stone against an animal that would have decided whether their children ate that night. Your shoulder did it perfectly, on the first try, for a sock and a laundry bin, because it has never forgotten what it was built for. And that's the thing I really want you to carry out of this. You think of yourself as the soft one, the weak ape, the animal that needs tools and clothes and walls because it can't survive on its own body. And in 100 small ways, that's true. But hidden inside that soft body is one piece of equipment that is simply the best of its kind that evolution has ever produced. You are not the strongest animal, or the fastest, or the toughest. You are the one that can reach out across empty space and strike. The deadliest thing in the valley was never our teeth. It was our aim. And you still carry it. Every time you toss your keys across the room and they land in the bowl without you even looking. Every time you flick a ball of paper at a friend, or skip a stone across a lake, or lob a ball gently into a small child's waiting hands, you are firing a weapon system 2 million years old, tuned for survival, now spending its incredible precision on play. The plane is gone. The animal at the other end is gone. But the catapult is still bolted to your shoulder, loaded and waiting, every single day of your life. So here's what I'd love to know, and I mean it. Tell me down in the comments. What is the last thing you threw? And did it land where you wanted it to? The keys in the bowl. The paper in the bin. The ball to your kid. Tell me whether you hit your target because 2 million years ago, that answer decided whether you ate. I'd like to think you'd have eaten well. I'm Og. This whole channel is about the body you're sitting in right now, and all the ancient machinery still humming away inside it, long after the world it was built for vanished. So stay with me, and come find the next one. Because no matter how soft and modern and far from the plane you feel, the truth is the same as it ever was. Your body still remembers.